Come on, guys. It's not rocket science. I would love to play with a lot of great players. That's just who I am.
Great look by James. Davis for a two-hand jam. James to the basket. James, alley-oop, and Davis will put it down.
Well, Anthony Davis could arguably be the best player to ever play alongside LeBron James. The most points per game by a teammate of LeBron was 25.5 by Dwayne Wade back in 2010-2011. Davis has averaged that in each of his last 3 seasons. He might also be in position to average more points than LeBron next season, which is something that's never happened. LeBron has been the team's leading scorer in all 16 of his NBA seasons. That's one shy of the NBA record. Our Ramona Shelburne joins us now here on SportsCenter. This is obviously huge news all across the NBA. But Ramona, let's go back in time a little bit here because these two teams tried to get this deal done a couple of months ago before the trade deadline. It didn't happen. What was the turning point for it would enable it to happen tonight?
Well, there were 2 of them, right? The first one is that the Lakers and the Pelicans both got exceptionally lucky in the lottery. And so there were 2 big assets that neither team had back in February. The Pelicans had the number 1 draft pick and the Lakers had the number 4 draft pick. And those 2 assets end up being pretty pivotal in why this deal is able to get done today. The other thing that happened is that David Griffin took over as the executive vice president of the New Orleans Pelicans. And as one source close to the situation put it, he was the biggest difference because he negotiated in good faith. He didn't have all the emotional baggage for back in February when everybody got hurt. I mean, if you just look at the cost of what happened because those negotiations in February went so haywire. Rob Pelinka took hits. Jeannie Buss took hits. Dell Demps got fired. Magic Johnson quit and threw everyone else under the bus as he went home. Luke Walton is in Sacramento now. There was a lot of people who got hurt back in February. David Griffin he came into this with a clean slate. He didn't have any of that emotional baggage. He could just make the best deal. And so once both teams acquired 2 very big assets in the lottery, he was able to make this deal.
Well, clearly it's supposed to be a big free agency summer in the NBA. How does this deal impact the pursuit of those free agents?
Man, I'm just still trying to get over what's happened in the NBA in the last week. 2 of the top free agents going onto the market, Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant, just suffered catastrophic injuries that will take them out for all of next year or at least most of next year. And the third, Kawhi Leonard, just won a championship in Toronto. And so anybody thinking that they had great plans for July just had to readjust them after what happened in the NBA Finals. Anthony Davis, in a way, was maybe the best player that any team could go out and get. The Lakers had to give up an incredible price to get Anthony Davis. One source described it to me as this could be a Herschel Walker type deal for the New Orleans Pelicans. I mean, they have Lonzo Ball, who's going to be throwing lobs to Zion Williamson. Him and Drew Holiday will be already one of the best defensive backcourts in the NBA. Then they also get Brandon Ingram and Josh Hart and future first-round picks. And from what I understand, those future firsts are going to help the Pelicans essentially have control over the Lakers draft for the next 5 to 7 years, depending on how the pick swaps go and all the protections on them. This is a massive trade in the NBA that affects free agency and in some ways is the unofficial beginning of free agency now.
You mentioned all the drama the Lakers went through over the last couple of months. What does this trade do for their image going forward?
Look, going for superstars is in the Lakers' DNA. This is just what they do. I mean, you could make an argument that they gave up too much and they're not going to be able to fill out this roster. But if you've lived in Los Angeles, as I know you have, Mike, I mean, this is what the Lakers do. They chase stars. And they needed another star to put alongside LeBron James for whatever time they have him. He's under contract for 3 more years. But he has an opt-out in that last year. He's 34 years old, will be 35 soon enough. I mean, if you get LeBron, you owe it to your franchise and to him, really, to give him another co-star that he can chase a championship with. And with Golden State dealing with some major injuries and free agent concerns, the West is wide open. And I think the Lakers just felt like they had to go for it. They may regret this, just like they did the Dwight Howard deal or the Steve Nash deal, but they had to go for it. They had to chase the star.
Timing is everything, a franchise-changing move for both the Lakers and the Pelicans, and we still got a few weeks to decide how it really plays out. Ramona Shelburne here on SportsCenter. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike.
Well, Mike Ramona said it, the Lakers chase stars. They get stars. With the deal to land Anthony Davis, they would have just 4 other guys under contract for next season. LeBron, Kyle Kuzma, a huge asset they were able to keep, and then Mo Wagner and Isaac Bonga. Not exactly household names, so there are spots to fill out. We'll talk about that with front office insider Bobby Marks, who joins us now. All right, so Bobby, the simplest way possible, why does the timing of when this deal becomes official matter?
Well, I think when you look at where the Lakers are, it is all about timing. And they right now have $32.5 million in cap space. Because the first-round draft pick number 4, cannot be used in a trade until he signs his contract. You have to wait 30 days. Cap space is needed to use first to sign a player like possibly Kemba Walker or even Kyrie Irving. Once cap space is used, then the Lakers can trade on July 30th Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, the 4th pick in the draft. If somehow New Orleans says, no, we want to do that trade on July 6th, then that cap space, which is at $32.5 million, and we can walk you through right now. This is where they are right now, $32 million in room. When you look at a player like, let's say, Kemba Walker, that goes in right there. Oops. We can slide Walker in, and now there is no room. What they'll do now is we look at Ball, Ingram, the 4th pick in the draft. That equals to 125% of a player like Anthony Davis's number. And when you look at it, we have to move Davis in the traded section, and then we put back here. Doing a lot of movement here.
Yeah, really.
And then when you look at Davis, this would happen on July 30th. Now, Davis is not being acquired with cap space, and then we just slide him in there. And that's what your roster could do. You could also take the Walker number and possibly divide it among 3 players. Maybe a Danny Green, a Jeremy Lamb, put some shooters around. But it's all about timing as far as how they do this trade.
7 different guys that they have to still fill out to make out the roster here with just, what do we say, about $30 million in cap space. It will be fascinating to see how they go after a guy like Kemba Walker, possibly make a super team with those 3 players in Los Angeles. Bobby Marks hanging with us here tonight on
to improve this roster in free agency and trades, and now New Orleans has a tremendous jump start on a rebuild, really a rebooting post AD.
You mentioned it. Davis is a free agent following next season, though he's now not eligible for the Supermax from LA. How then do the Lakers handle his contract plans?
Well, he could sign an extension this summer. It doesn't make any sense financially. He's eligible to make much more next year. This is what he wanted. This is what his agent, Rich Paul, wanted, was the chance to play with LeBron in LA. And so he'll sign, that extension next summer if all goes according to plan in LA this year. And David Griffin in New Orleans has the makings of a very good Western Conference playoff team already. They're going to shop around that 4th overall pick that came in the trade from LA in next Thursday's draft, and they're going to try to turn that into another quality veteran starter that they can plug into, a completely reshaped lineup with the Pels.
Yeah, they get 2 starters from the Lakers. They also own the number 1 overall pick, obviously, expected to go with Zion. We'll talk about them just in just a minute here again, Woj. What's next now for the Lakers?
Well, they'll get out into free agency this, later this month, June 30th, and see if they can get involved with one of the big players on the market. Kemba Walker from Charlotte, they could certainly plug him in at point guard. If he doesn't re-sign with the Hornets, he's a player that will be available. Teams like Dallas, New York have had interest in him, and there's a lot of teams in the marketplace looking for point guards this summer. But among KD, Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard, the Lakers have not been a significant consideration. Obviously, KD and Klay, it's changed. The landscape's changed for them with their injuries. Jimmy Butler's another player. If they are unable to come to terms on a new deal in Philadelphia, Jimmy Butler's a player that I think there would be some mutual interest on in LA. But getting AD in place is huge for them. They have their cornerstone player to carry on even post LeBron James.
Woj, what are you hearing around the league from other teams, other executives about this trade?
Well, first of all, that the Lakers had to do it. This was a player that they had to keep giving on with Dave Griffin in New Orleans to get a deal done. Rob Pelinka, Genie Bus, ultimately did that. 3 first-round picks is a significant price, and especially having one in the top 5 here this year. And for New Orleans, I think the feeling was for a team that may not have had all the leverage in the world in trading AD, that David Griffin really got back a tremendous haul. If you look back the last decade, even beyond that, of what teams have been able to get for a single player in a trade, this ranks up among them. Brandon Ingram still has a chance to be a very good player in this NBA, and New Orleans really excited about Lonzo Ball, him being in better condition, being a player who they hope will be healthier and they can plug right in. You know, the idea of some lob passes between Lonzo and Zion Williamson, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, massive haul that the Pelicans get back. Woj broke the story. Anthony Davis is a Laker. Adrian Wojnarowski, many thanks. Well, Magic Johnson chimed in on Twitter with 4 different tweets on the trade. Initially, great job by owner Jeannie Buss bringing Anthony Davis to the Lakers. Then moments later, Laker Nation, you wanted the great Jeannie Buss to step up and bring a championship team back to L.A., and she's doing just that. Still moments later, and the Lakers have over $30 million of cap space to spend on free agents. No mention of Rob Pelinka until moments later. Finally, great trade, Rob Pelinka. Well, they've got a history there, those two. Job well done. Magic finally gets around.